1, 2.
Hey, ladies.
David, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? What'd you have for lunch?
Smelly.
Dude, like that's the second time this week.
Yeah, I love those things. Based on a True Struggle is a weekly podcast hosted by Eric Diamond and David Miller. The series focuses on the struggles that we all face in our daily lives, be it personal or business. Each episode, Eric and David delve deep into their own struggles and provide insight on how they're using these struggles to their advantage as they try to redevelop the landscape of one community in Ohio. Hope you enjoy this week's episode.
This is Eric Diamond and David Miller bringing you Based on a True Struggle. David, how's it going, man?
What's up?
What's up? I like that.
Yeah,
that's got some energy.
Yeah.
You testing that one out?
Yeah, I'm testing it out.
I liked it.
Let's see if it's going to catch on. What's up?
The other day I came home and I asked Jimmy how she's doing, and she said, righteous.
Oh.
See?
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jame Dog.
See? Righteous.
She's listening, huh?
She is listening.
Righteous.
She listens to all of them.
That's what's up. We appreciate it.
So earlier this week we did a really cool interview, and I had a chance to listen to it this morning. Actually, listened to it a couple of times. We interviewed a gentleman by the name of Darius Anderson, and you had known Darius previously. I met Darius when he came through the Neo Funds Go Biz Grow course, and was always really impressed by the guy's passion.
Yeah.
Darius is on a mission to start a gym in Ashtabula County called Changing Room Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Be the change in the room, which I think is kind of cool. We've got to know Darius even more over the last few months because he stops in here on our office hour days, sometimes to go over his business plan, sometimes just to hang out and feel the energy. Incredibly well-read guy, a guy that is a podcast listener, dedicated podcast listener of The Struggle.
Yeah.
I didn't know the guy's backstory,
Mm-hmm.
and you had kind of briefly touched on it at one point with me, and he and I had a conversation, and this is an interesting cat. So as we thought more about it, we wanted to get him on The Struggle to do an episode kind of talking about his struggles. But really what it's turned into is a series that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
We've decided that all too often, as you have talked about, when somebody becomes famous, they get interviewed and talk about how'd you get there.
Yeah.
But what's really inspiring is when you're going through that struggle and documenting that. So over the next few months, we're going to be documenting Darius's journey to start Changing Room Fitness. And the first episode, which we will release on Monday, is kind of his backstory, bringing him up to where he is today. I don't know about you, but I was pretty energized after that interview.
Yeah, man. He is a powerful young man who has some experiences that are touching.
Yep.
And he's very humble and yet very hungry.
Very hungry.
So, I mean, that's what's inspiring to me is when you get a case of an entrepreneur who, you know, reality is he does remind you of yourself so many years ago.
It does.
You know,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
flat out, you're just hungry. You're willing to try anything. You're determined not to continue living in the quagmire that you're in today.
Yep.
And you're open for ideas and suggestions, and you're just really ready to put in the work. And for me, that is like, I love to be around that kind of stuff all the time because it keeps me humble. It keeps me hungry. And it reminds me of how I was in 2015 when I was like literally on some Tupac stuff, except I wasn't going to kill anybody, but I probably would have if I had to, you know? So I was just hungry, meaning I wasn't taking no for an answer. If you had information and I felt like you weren't being forthright with it, I was going to pry, probe, and poke until I got that information from you.
Yep.
And I wasn't satisfied with just a meeting. I was more satisfied with the action steps that we talked about during that meeting manifesting themselves. I didn't care about just who I had a meeting with and shared coffee with. I need more than that, bro.
I hear
you.
You know, you said something that was really interesting. So I felt the same. Like when I left that interview with Darius, I got a lot done the next day. Like I was fired up, and it reminded me of the passion that I had when when we were starting Westport, or when we were, this past year, early on in the year, we were getting the food hub off the ground and purchasing that. And I think that kind of energy is needed as an entrepreneur, because it wanes, right?
Oh, man.
You're not always hungry.
No.
Right? Once you get it off the ground and there is some money coming in, and you're not where you want to be yet, but that part of getting it off the ground is done. I think that there's times that go by where I lose that hunger. And then I start to question, am I on the right path? Because I really enjoy that. I enjoy starting things. And that to me is incredibly energizing. So to be around somebody like him, it just reminds you that you can't take your foot off the gas.
Yeah,
right?
you
We
can't.
got so much further to go.
Yeah, you do. And I told him after the interview, someone told me that, starting a business isn't the hardest part. It's running it. And he was like, dude, I get it. And I was really saying, like, the energy that he has now, he has to try to bottle it up and keep it, because all too often you get in a place of comfort, which breeds complacency.
Yeah.
And then you get complacent and you lose your hunger, even though you haven't quite, your plate's not full, you just become content.
Yep.
And as an entrepreneur, I admire the people who are always hungry. I admire the people who won't allow themselves to get too comfortable, so they don't go out and buy the Maseratis and the Ferraris, and they stay in a humble, house.
Yeah.
But they don't buy the mansion because they still got some eating to do.
That's right.
And so that's a guy I aspire to be. Like, I genuinely want people to look at me and be like, man, he doesn't look like he has a lot of money. Like, I don't want to be the flashy guy, but I want to be able to leave money for generations.
Yep. That
So
millionaire next door type mentality, which is cool. Yeah. So we just wanted to do a little teaser episode, because I think this path that he's going to take and that we're going to follow along with is going to be incredibly enlightening, incredibly entertaining, and incredibly motivational.
I think so. And to touch on his situation a little more, like, the series is going to be, it's just going to be like a docu-series following his rise as an entrepreneur.
Right.
So we lay the foundation of who he is and what he's been through. That's the intro, pretty much, episode number 1. And then we're going to check in with him. And the thing about it is, there's something special about him, but a lot of entrepreneurs are like him.
No, agreed.
And we've been witness to a lot of them. We just didn't have the platform at the time to document, because there's people who came in here like Jen Barkley, and you're like, she's going to do it.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world will look at her, and she's so timid and shy, and we get done talking to her like she's going to do it.
Yeah,
like,
she is. And she's done it.
And she's done it. And that would have been worth documenting, although she probably wouldn't have been comfortable talking on the mic.
Right.
But not only is Darius going to do it, we believe, but he's very well-spoken, and he's very energetic behind the mic.
Yeah.
So I think that translates well to our audience.
Yeah, one of these days when a few years from now, when we have a on tour based on a true struggle conference, Darius is going to be one of the speakers at it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool. So Monday it drops, the Darius episode. We begin the journey. We appreciate you guys listening. Check us out on Facebook. Leave us a review on iTunes. We do appreciate you all and all the feedback. David?
I want to say this as a teaser. We've done a lot of interviews, right?
Yeah.
Some are very popular.
Yeah.
Some are very good.
Yeah.
This was my favorite.
Mine too, by
Okay.
far.
Dum dum dum
Dun,
dum.
dun. All right, this is Eric Diamond and David Miller bringing you Based on a True Struggle. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Based on a True Struggle is a production of Ideation Corporation Unlimited. This episode was produced by Eric Diamond. Site design by David Miller. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or anywhere you get great podcasts. Our theme song is Pushed Through by Dreamlife. Follow us on Facebook or check out our website at www.truestruggle.com. That's www.truestruggle.com. You can email us at info@truestruggle.com. Feel free to leave us a message on our listener line at 440-941-8443. If you like what we are doing, give us a rating on iTunes and tell all your friends about us. Thanks for listening, and until next week, peace.